Okay, so this is going to be an example of how to do progress billing in BillQuick. And so what I've done, I've set up a project. So this is 2016-002. And very important settings here. So this altitude complex is the name of our job. Customer's altitude, it's fixed price contract. And this status field here is set to main. And that's important because that just means that this top level job is, we don't bill that job itself, but everything happens on the phases underneath it. So these three phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 have been set up. Overall, I've made the contract amount $100,000, and I just made phase 1 with 20%, phase 2 with 50%, and phase 3 with 30% of the job. The way I did that was just by using create phase, and I could put in the phase name there. I just put in the percentage value there and it works it out based on the contract value of the main phase. The other setting which is also helpful on each of the phases is if you choose the phase and you go to billing, go to detail, and the choose job rules section, and here I've just ticked always show in billing review, and I'll show you what that does if we now go to the billing review. So I've done that for all three of the phases. Let's just choose the customer is altitude, and I'll refresh that. And even though there's no time or expense recorded at all on those phases, they still show up in the billing review here. So that's what that checkbox does, and that's pretty useful with our progressive billing, because we may decide to invoice a phase anyway in a period, even if there's nothing recorded in BillQuick. So in the normal course of the work, of course, there'd be timesheets, there'd be expenses entered as normal on those phases. I'll just do one example of that. So if I just go to my, I'll just choose the sheet view here for this, and choose that project. Just on say the first phase, and let's say I'll just put a single time entry in here. Choose something 8 hours work. Make sure that's approved. And now if I go back to billing review and refresh, you'll see that my 8 hours are now coming through, and based purely on the hourly rate for that particular employee and including GST, it's worked out a net bill and hourly rate. But of course, we're going to bill on a percentage complete basis. So what we can do here is, let's say that this particular month we want to bill 25% on phase 1. So all I have to do is come to my percentage complete column, type in 25%. And BillQuick says, well, based on that change, the revised percentage complete, your net bill for this job will be recalculated. Do you want to do that? Okay, yes, we do. And so it's worked out 25% of the 20,000 is 5,000 plus GST, so the net bill is going to be 5,500 there. In the billing review, if you don't have the percentage complete showing, go to the field chooser on the top left corner here, and I would switch on contract amount as well. And the percentage complete is there also. We also put phase description if we want to see that. And want to see when you just drag it off like that. So now I've got percentage complete, there's my contract amount. And so I can go ahead and bill that. And that will be my first invoice. Now if I want to show all phases at the same time, I need to bill all of them. And I want this to show up as a joint invoice. I want to show all phases on the one invoice, so that's called a joint invoice. Just put a number in there to link them all together, and I'm going to go select all. In this case, bill selected, so that just ticks all those boxes, and let's create a invoice. Okay, then it's asking me now, do I want to save that percentage complete? And you normally would say yes to that. And so it remembers that it's 25% complete. It's done the bill, so now the net bill is $0 again, ready for the next invoice. Let's go and have a look at the invoice. Refresh the list here. Okay, so there's my first invoice. You can see it's got multiple phases showing there, and let's see what this looks like. There's a number of different templates we could use, depending on your industry and so on. So this one has just shown us the individual phases and their billing. So that's one way of doing it. That's the regular joint invoice template. What might be better is a different template, and I'll switch on the template field here so I can choose one. On the template it is. So that just defaulted to the joint invoice. You can change that setting as well. But let's choose a different one. Let's choose the phase layout. So you can see a bit of a preview here. We've got the contract sum, the percentage complete, how much we've billed to date, and so on. So that's quite common in the construction type of industries. I can keep that setting to remember it for that job. So let's have another look at what that looks like. Just double click. Same invoice, just laid out differently. And so here you can see quite clearly our three phases, our agreed contract amounts adding up to 100,000, and our percentage complete 25%. So we're 5,000 billed to date, and it's a total of 5,500. So that's a very easy way of making a progress invoice. Let's make the next one in the series. So let's say now that we now want to bill the next 25%, so now we're 50% of the way through there, and again BillQuick will recalculate that, but we've also started a bit on phase 2 and done some work there, so we're going to charge say 10% of that, and BillQuick works that out as well. And again I want to select all phases. Select the joint invoice here, but it's very important that it's the same number for each invoices to link them together. I'll build the selected ones, build them all together, process that as another invoice. Again, we want to remember the percentage completes. Have a look at the invoice, refresh that. It's remembered the template now. And I'll have a look at that template. This is a bill for $11,000, including GST. And so now you can see we're up to 50% complete on phase 1. And the bill to date altogether is 10,000. This invoice is only 5,000. The bill to date on the second phase is 5,000. This invoice is 5,000. So you can see how BillQuick just looks after keeping those running totals going for the customer. What I'll also do, so to save us having to turn that joint invoice flag on every time, there is another rule for that. Detail, I think it might be under billing. So yeah, send as joint invoice. So we want to set that, turn that on for every phase. And here's also where we can choose the invoice template that we want to use. I'll just switch that on there for that one. Okay, so now it knows that if I'm in billing review and I do a refresh there, you can see it automatically populated that, so that saves me doing it. I'll do one last one. The one nice trick is, let's say we've done all our work and we're now going to do a final invoice. There's an option we have here to give my select all, and I can bill final. And what that does is work out what's remaining in the contract, and well, it doesn't update the percentage completes, but if I do update, it shouldn't adjust the numbers, because the numbers should already be correct, which they are. So it's all 100% complete. So this is now the very last invoice. Select all those bills selected, and then process their final invoice. Invoice review, refresh that. 93,000. Let's have a look at it. So completely billed to date, and that's why we have on the current invoice there, plus our GST makes out 93,000. If I now go to the project, I can look at any one of these phases in the history tab here and see my individual invoices. So each phase has the individual invoices against those phases, and of course, remember on the third and second phase we didn't bill initially, so that's why that's $0 there. Then if we go up to the main level project, we'll see the total value of the invoices there, so you can easily review what it was per phase. And that concludes the video on progress invoicing in BillQuick.